I tell you what I'm gonna do. I kind of feel bad for getting you off there. I'm gonna swap fanfics because I actually haven't have a backup one that is actually a little tamer. It's not even mind rape at all, just a comedy, and it's an Applejack centered fanfiction.
What would that be?
The story by Hoof Biting Action Overload. The story is called In Quintuple Time.
What?
The story is called In Quintuple Time.
What does that mean?
What, you don't know quintuple? Like 5 times fast?
I got that, but what's with the title? Maybe we'll find out in the story.
Yeah, maybe this will cheer you up. I mean, what do we got? It's centered around Applejack, Rainbow Dash, and Pinkie Pie.
Oh Lord, please don't.
I won't. I promise I'll behave this time.
Thank you.
Promise. Pinky promise.
I'm gonna hold you
Sorry.
to that.
Sorry, I had to.
I'm gonna hold you to that.
Yeah. Okay, let's dive in. This is In Quintuple Time by Hoof Biting Action Overload. Water buffalo? Check. Hula skirt? Check. Bongos? Check. A bunny suit, tomatoes, magic, raspberry lemonade? Check.
What?
What is this? Pinkie Pie suited up and ready for equipment. She poofed her mane, polished her hooves, brushed her teeth, brushed her tongue, brushed her coat, brushed her mane, brushed Gummy's teeth, poofed her mane again, and wiped icing war paint over her cheeks and nose. She grinned, and the bouncing Pinkie Pie in the mirror grinned back. They both agreed it was a good day to die.
Die?
That was an unexpected darkly way to start the fanfic. Let's see what's going on, shall we? You alright there?
Intro.
Oh, excuse me. Applejack pushed the barn door open and stepped outside, but instead of landing on the hard-packed dirt that normally surrounded the barn, she felt her hooves sink down into ground. Looking down, she found that she wasn't standing on dirt at all, but sand. Why?
What?
Not just in front of the barn, the sand was everywhere and everything else was gone. Where before there was grass and tilled soil, now there was sand. Where before there were acres of apple trees and farmland, now there was sand. Where before there was a house, a chicken coop, a hayloft, and a yard, now there was only sand. Even the barn she just stepped from had been replaced by the hot, loose piles of sand that had now surrounded her.
What is going on?
That's what I'm wondering. She followed the sand with her eyes as it sloped gently down from where she stood. Down and down past small patches of palm trees and scattered seashells. Down until it fell into water. More water than she had ever seen. Even more water than sand. Blue waves stretched forever, farther than she could see and past the distant horizon, and such noise it made as it hushed up and then collapsed back down onto itself that she could hear nothing else. Okay, how the fuck did Applejack suddenly teleport to Kokomo?
Hell if I know. She could have been at Palm Beach. Next thing you know, she'll be encountering old guys and buff-ass dudes and Flo Rida for all I care.
Yeah. It was a long while before the cogs in Applejack's mind began turning again, staring stunned at her surroundings. She screwed her eyes shut and quickly opened them again to see that if Sweet Apple Acres would return, but the sand and water remained. A beach? She murmured, her voice lost in the sound of the waves breaking on the shore. Having said it, she realized it must be true. Everything she now saw before her matched every picture of beachfront she had ever seen, so where exactly did she see a beachfront? Do beaches even exist in Equestria? Or do
yeah? If there's water, there is a beach!
Well, we've established there's lakes, but at no point have we seen sand or anything like that.
Have you?
Just
Did you forget about Too Many Pinkies? There was a little sandbar where Pinkie Pie and Rainbow Dash were hanging out.
I haven't watched anything My Little Pony related in a long time since I think myself is season 4, so I really gotta go back and watch the season 1 episodes I missed. I really do.
Yeah, you do.
Anyways, every It even smelled how she had always imagined a beach should smell. A bitter scent of salt water, seaweed, and fish food hung everywhere, hung over everything. A quick sniff confirmed that even her hat now smelled of the stuff. That was quick.
Wow. Where is she?
Mac! She called out into the wind as loud as she could. Randy! No one answered her. She sat down and scratched her chin. Somehow she had been lifted up out of Sweet Apple Acres, carried over and across Equestria, and then discarded on some faraway coast, all in the time it had taken her to walk through the barn door. She quickly thought of possible explanations. Could Discord have recanted the ways of good and spread its chaos over the world again? Could it be some fiend's dark, foul magic, hoping to separate her from her friends in order to eliminate the elements of harmony? Or perhaps she had gone a little overboard on the cider the night before?
Hopefully not.
So judging by that, I'm going to assume this takes place after the events of Keep Calm and Flutter On and the Crystal Empire.
One would suggest that.
Seems about right.
Although, for the life of me, I'm going to put 20 on being so wasted the night before.
I'm going with that, too. She spotted a palm tree roof through a nearby copse of trees. Looking closer, she saw that the roof belonged to a meager shack that stood on 4 shaky little poles, rippling along with the wind in the trees. Outside, a pink pony bounced up and...
What?
A pink pony bounced up and down, an unmistakably familiar giggle on her lips. Applejack set towards the shack at a quick trot, but her hooves sank into the sand with each step, and walking was difficult. After fumbling through the sand, she made her way past the trees and came upon the shack. She found not just 1, but 3 ponies, and 3 long beach chairs. So it's not just Pinkie in on this.
Who are they?
In the first sat Rainbow Dash, lying on her stomach with her eyes closed. In the second sat Granny Smith, lazily patting on a pair of bongos in front of...
What the hell?
Granny Smith is playing bongos.
Where on earth is she?
The third was empty. Behind the shack's counter, Pinkie Pie jittered on her hooves in time with Granny's drums, sporting a fashionable hula skirt, coconut bra, and lane...
Wow.
She was dancing, her flanking skirt swaying back and forth with a melody only she could hear. Well then.
Man, I think she really hit the cider too hard.
Applejack! Pinkie cried, still dancing. You're finally here! Rainbow Dash peeked out at her and groaned. Geez, AJ, what took you so long? Applejack stopped dead in her tracks, too confused to even understand what she was being asked. What? I think that's what we're all asking at this point. Pinkie Pie huffed and frowned. We've been waiting for like 5 whole minutes! Slowpoke, Rainbow Dash mumbled. Now we're way behind, Pinkie said, looking down at a piece of paper. We're gonna have to go double time to catch up. Dash folded her legs over her chest. Way to go. Double time! Pinkie cried. Yeesh.
What?
What? Was all Applejack could think to say. Triple time now!
What in the hell is going on?
Come on, sit down already, Dash said, pointing to the empty chair. Quintuple time! You just gonna stand there or what? Quintuple time!
What?
They were 5 times late, that's what they're saying.
Pinkie Pie, what are you doing?
Applejack took a deep breath, steadying her shaky, weary nerves. She needed to stay calm and figure out what the hey was going on. What is this? Oh, right! Pinkie beamed and threw the paper behind her back, propping her front hooves up on the shack's counter. This is Pinkie Pie's Perky Pastel Beachside Bouncing Bullpen. We sell lemonade. What can I get for you? Perky Pastel Beachside Bouncing Bullpen.
Bullpen?
The fuck's a bullpen, anyways?
One thing comes to mind, but I don't think that's it.
What?
Bullpen. Do they hold bull cows in it?
No, what is all this? Applejack asked again, waving a hoof through the air. Pinkie Pie tilted her head to the side, her tongue hanging out from the side of her mouth. Equestria? A beach? Rainbow Dash guessed. No! Applejack cried, taking another breath. I mean, where are we? Pinkie Pie shrugged. Equestria? In sand? Dash tried. Your imagination? In a chair? In the future? By a tree? In a chair, the sand, in your imagination, in the future by a tree?
Pinkie, you're not answering us!
No, she's not. Not underground? Rainbow Dash said, scratching her head and looking very seriously down at the sand behind her. Oh, definitely not in space, Pinkie said, beaming like she'd solve a riddle. Or underwater, Dash pointed out. Probably not in the Never mind! Applejack threw her legs into the air to silence her friends. Just, never mind, she said, trotting to where Granny Smith sat. And she's like, that's it! I'm done! And what's your excuse? She asked when she reached the apple matron. Granny Smith peered up at her over the bongos, staring at Applejack like she had just suggested they started growing oranges instead of apples. I'm laying down the beat. What?
What?
Granny Smith just said, I'm laying down the beat.
What the hell are you, a beatnik?
Well, she is playing bongos, so... The old mare continued pattering on the drums, but not in any beat Applejack could discern. She sighed and rolled her eyes. Granny, I thought you were better than this. Granny Smith chuckled. Huh? I've been hankering for a vacation for ages. Granny! Applejack nearly shouted, her patience wearing thin. She expected this sort of nonsense from Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie, not from the very mare who had scolded her for ducking chores as a filly. You said you were going to try finishing those... You said you were going to finish frying those apple fritters, and I need to start bucking the North Field. This is hardly time for going on vacations. Applejack continued pattering away on her... try that again. Granny continued pattering away on her drums, giving no indication that she cared or had even heard Applejack's words. Girl, you should sit down. What? Did I read that correctly? Granny Smith just said, Girl, you should sit down.
I think Applejack is completely hallucinating.
Yeah. Applejack's mouth crumpled into a frown. I'll sit down when there's not work that needs doing, and I would have expected the same from you. Jeez, Applejack, Rainbow Dash said from her chair, turning over onto her side. I'm sure your apples can stand not being bucked for one afternoon. Yeah, Pinkie said, waggling her eyebrows. My apples haven't been bucked for weeks, and they're doing just fine.
Pinkie Pie? We're gonna need to talk about the birds and the bees after we're done.
Yeah, let me repeat that so it'll settle in everyone's mind. My apples haven't been bucked for weeks, and they're doing just fine.
I don't think Pinkie Pie has an apple orchard.
Nope.
So we are going to talk with her about the birds and the bees, and about public decency.
Yes.
Let's go.
Yeah. Rainbow Dash groaned. Pinkie Pie, do you even hear what you're saying right now? Nope. Pinkie Pie rubbed her chin in a surprisingly convincing imitation of fun. You know, you really should have done all that apple stuff already. I mean, did you think we weren't going to put a beach on your house today? That'd be just silly. Yeah, at a certain point this becomes your fault.
Sorry.
Well, alright then.
I'm sorry, I was lost.
Yeah. Along the waves in the distance, Applejack watched a pair of dark-furred cows grunting through the water. She recognized them as water buffalo. What? Applejack stopped herself, fighting the desire to surrender to the thought that nothing would ever make sense again. She wouldn't give them the satisfaction. Sooner or later they would get bored and let her go back to her work. Knowing Rainbow Dash, who had an attention span slightly shorter than that of a goldfish...
Come again?
Knowing Rainbow Dash, who had an attention span slightly shorter than that of a goldfish, it would likely be sooner.
Oh.
What are the buffalo doing here? Hey, yeah! Rainbow Dash frowned, rolling over to look at Pinkie Pie. Since when are there buffalo at the beach? Pinkie Pie rolled her eyes. Since always. Pinkie, have you even been to the beach? Dash asked, one brow raised. Pinkie smiled, fluttering her eyelids innocently. Have you? Ooh. Oh,
damn.
Rainbow Dash grumbled something Applejack couldn't hear and rolled back over. Are you going to sit down or not? Nah, Applejack replied. Pinkie Pie, that's enough. You've got whatever it was you wanted. You've had your laugh. Now let me get back to work. Pinkie pulled the paper she had been reading earlier out of her tail and inspected it closely. She abruptly looked back up, smiling so much like only Pinkie Pie could that Applejack couldn't help smiling a little back. Nope, we're not even close to done yet. Applejack sighed for what she figured must have been the dozenth time that afternoon. Great. How'd you guys do all this anyway? Pinkie bit her lip. Do you want it from the very beginning? Yes.
Can we get the Reader's Digest version?
Applejack shrugged. I guess. Well, alrighty. Pinkie turned with a smile. When a mommy pony and a daddy pony...
No! That's not what we're talking about!
I'm so...
That's not what we're talking about!
Seriously, Pinkie? Rainbow Dash interrupted, screwing her face up. Pinkie snorted. I'm always serious.
Doesn't sound it to me!
Whatever, just skip ahead like 20 years. Aww, that was the best part. Absolutely it is, Granny Smith cried. Her blonde was falling to the ground. What? Oh,
what?
Okay, Granny Smith's with her too?
Never mind.
Yeah. Granny, show a little modesty, Applejack cried before turning back to Pinkie. I meant right now, you know, sand and the beach and such. Pinkie's mouth formed a little O, and she abruptly ducked behind the counter, leaving Applejack standing alone with the shack. Just as abruptly, she reappeared next to Applejack, throwing a leg over the apple farmer's neck. Pinkie leaned in close, bumming sound of her. I'll tell you, but you have to promise to keep it a secret.
Fine.
Applejack brushed Pinkie's leg away, stepping back. Keep it a secret from who? There are only four of us here. Pinkie Pie stepped forward, bumping sounds again, conspiratorially looking from side to side. You can't take any chances. Someone might be listening. Like who? Like somebody with a totally cute, super cute rainbow tail. What?
A super cute rainbow tail? Are you having affections for Rainbow Dash, or do you think Rainbow's a spy?
I'm leaning on the latter. You mean Rainbow Dash? What? Shh! Pinkie Pie hissed, pushing Applejack and throwing Rainbow Dash a shamelessly obvious covert glance. Don't let her hear you! Rainbow Dash sat up, grimacing. You realize I'm sitting right here, right? Like, not even 3 feet away. If Pinkie Pie had heard, she gave no indication, leaning closer to Applejack. You promise? I guess. Pinkie promise! Uh-oh.
Shit. And if she remembers anything, if she breaks a pinky promise, hell will rise.
Yeah. Hey, Dash said from her seat, and you realize that I set this up with you, yeah? So I already know the secret, right? Oh, that's it.
So everything is just set up at the farm.
Applejack chewed her lip, trying to remember Pinkie's promise mantra. Throw some cake in your eye and, wash your clothes or something. That ain't no cross my heart and hope to die, stick a cupcake in my eye. Is it now?
We're a little rusty, so bear with us.
Alright. Close enough, Pinkie said, throwing her leg back over Applejack's neck, her coconut bra chafing against Applejack's coat. Rainbow Dash rapidly waved a hoof back and forth through the air in front of them. Hey, are you guys listening to me? It's Pinkie indicated for Applejack to lean closer, and Applejack obliged with his frown. Pinkie stuck her muzzle deep in Applejack's ear, her tickling breath causing Applejack to grimace and shiver. Pinkie Pie whispered a single word.
What would that word be?
It's magic.
Who wants pink pony? I'm queuing up the grill. We're barbecuing pink pony.
I called dibs on the flank. Applejack rolled her eyes, her ear twitching as she pushed away the bouncing pony. You don't say. No, I definitely just did say, silly, Pinkie replied with a giggle. Pinkie Pie! Rainbow Dash brought a hoof to her face. Just hurry up and ask her. It's taking forever. Ask me what? Applejack looked between the two of them. Pinkie huffed, shaking her hula skirt and making a face. She hasn't even sat down yet. Applejack! Rainbow Dash shouted. Go sit down so we can finish this already. Now sit down while you guys let me finish my work. Yeah, sure, whatever. Just sit down. Yeesh. Tough crowd.
Yeah.
Applejack trotted to the open chair. Good. I've just got one thing to ask, though. What does Granny Smith have to do with any of this? She asked, looking to where the old mare continued pitter-pattering on her bongos. She is here... Huh. Rainbow Dash scratched her head. I have no idea. Why is she here? Pinkie Pie said, reappearing behind the counter with her paper. I don't know. I bet you invited her. Granny smiled coyly, winking at Applejack. I should be taking my nap right now, but I won't tell if you won't. Ooh.
Come again?
No problem, Applejack replied, shaking her head and quickly sitting down. She smiled at the idea that her ordeal would soon be over. And then she just as quickly jumped back up onto her hoops, her eyelids flying open and her hair standing on end. She pointed to a hobbling monstrosity that had just jumped behind her. What the hell is that?
What?
The monster hopped forward on two great hind legs, long ears flopping over its head. Holy crap.
What?
Stopping, it towered over Applejack, wheeling its poofy tail and whiskers in an almost unbearably cute fashion.
Poofy tail and whiskers?
It was covered in smooth white hair everywhere except its face, which was red, freckled, and saying, yup.
Big Mac?
Big Mac? Applejack asked, leaning forward and examining the monster closely. Yup, he said, looking back up. Applejack took a cautious step forward. Big Mac, are you a bunny rabbit?
This is the most ridiculous thing I ever seen Big Mac happen since I ended up hearing about RP. Unless you want me to go into the details, because it was a little weird.
Oh, let's hear it.
All right, I was pretty much talking with Murder Shy's ma, Devin, and he ended up engaged with an RP with a friend of mine, Princess Haley from Tumblr. And in this RP, Fluttershy put a potion in a drink, Big Mac drank it, and let's just say that he didn't grow any breasts, but he was lactating.
Ugh.
It didn't throw him off. He was like, when it happens, and he continued on with his day until the spell wore off, or the potion wore off. Sorry. Yeah, lactating milk. That was weird.
Yeah.
But tolerable. I'm not sure about him being in a bunny outfit. Why a bunny outfit? Does the story even say that?
No. What?
Would somebody explain why Big Mac in this story is in a bunny suit?
Applejack looked to Rainbow Dash, who simply shrugged back and said, I'm as lost as you are right now. Pinkie Pie, Applejack said, wondering why she was even bothering to ask. When she looked at the bouncing pony, she saw that she was dancing again, twisting her tail around in the air in tempo with Granny's perpetual bongo tapping. What's this? She asked, pointing to Bunny Big Mac. Pinkie Pie froze mid-dance step, her rump raised high in the air for all to admire.
How explicit?
I don't know. Looks like a bunny, she said before promptly continuing her dance. He's a rabbit, Rainbow Dash declared, puffing out her chest like a filly showing off in math class. Bunnies are girls, rabbits are guys. Rainbow Dash, you are not Fluttershy. How do you know this?
Hanging out with her?
Applejack frowned, watching Big Macintosh set about licking down his fur.
What?
He's actually licking his fur.
Why?
Because he's apparently a bunny rabbit now.
Can we continue? You're already raping my mind.
Fluttershy said so. I can guarantee you Fluttershy's never said anything of the sort. Applejack turned back to Big Macintosh, ignoring Rainbow Dash's grumbling about who had just spent a week helping Fluttershy count the latest bunny census. Mac, why don't you dress up like a bunny? Rabbit. Big Macintosh looked all about himself, as if searching for something he had dropped, before looking back to Applejack. He shrugged. You have any idea at all why you're just like a bunny? Rabbit? Nope.
Doesn't anything make sense in here? Can somebody get me closure before I rage quit?
Applejack looked between the still grumbling Rainbow Dash and the still dancing Pinkie Pie, waiting for an explanation. When neither of them answered her stare, she let out an exasperated groan, throwing up her hooves. Well? Rainbow Dash simply stared back. Well, what? What am I supposed to do with a giant rabbit? Applejack cried, feeling that she had very nearly exceeded her limit for the absurd for one day.
You and me both.
You all have some kind of plan, don't you? You could give him a tomato, Pinkie Pie suggested. Okay, why? To eat, duh! Pinkie laughed, dismissing the question with a wave of her hoop. Silly Applejack! I don't think rabbits eat tomatoes. Pinkie Pie smiled back. Why not? Rainbow Dash shrugged. I don't know. You just don't. You sure? Yeah, I don't think so. What if you won a bunny luxury weight loss cruise, but then got really fat on salad and fell off the side of the boat during the Zumba class and then washed up on a desert island that didn't have anything to eat except tomatoes? Would you eat tomatoes then? Wah!
Pinkie Pie, you've already made the day worse. I'm already contemplating what part of you I'm going to barbecue, shred all the meat off the bones, and put it in a nice sandwich smothered in barbecue sauce. Don't press your luck!
Well, I mean, maybe, but... Rainbow Dash folded around her words. But that's not... Is this the joke? Rainbow Dash... Applejack interrupted. Rainbow Dash frowned at her, looking annoyed. Is what the joke? Applejack opened her mouth to reply, but whatever she would have said was lost when Big Mac hopped to the center of the clearing, apparently having decided to take his new role as a giant talking, walking, singing, dancing, sneezing bunny rabbit seriously. When he reached the center, he stopped and took a sensational pose. Then he danced. He danced like no other bunny rabbit had danced before. He wiggled, and he jiggled, and he wriggled, and he bopped, and he hopped, and he flopped, all in time with Granny Smith's bongo beats. She sped up her drumming, and he sped up his wiggling, jiggling, wriggling, bopping, hopping, popping. She sped up again, and so did he. They went back and forth, each cheering the other on, until Big Macintosh had become a veritable whirlwind of movement. He was so lost on his dancing that he spun straight into Rainbow Dash's chair, knocking it over and sending her and her drink tumbling to the ground. Hey! She cried as juice dripped down from her mane and down her face. What the hey is going on right now? Applejack asked, not sure if she should be angry, confused, or annoyed. She settled on angry. Rainbow Dash held her hooves up defensively. I swear, I didn't plan this. Nope, we're almost back on schedule, Pinkie Pie said, examining the paper that she had been expecting earlier and then folding it up again. What schedule?
I don't know.
Give me that, Applejack said, slapping the paper up out of Pinkie Pie's hooves. It's about time I got some answers. No, wait! Pinkie Pie cried, lunging for the paper. Applejack spun around, holding Pinkie back with one outstretched hind leg, while she held the paper in her front hoof, balancing awkwardly on two legs. Ugh. I'm sorry, Pinkie Pie, but I've had more than enough of this. No, really, you can't look at that! Pinkie said, struggling all she could against the hoof resting on her forehead. Well, let's see what it says, shall we? What in the... Applejack muttered as she unfolded the paper. She had expected to find some brilliant master plan, elaborate charts and diagrams, or in the very least some small words of explanation. And apparently that's not what she got.
What?
Instead, she found a series of crude stick pony drawings. In the first drawing were two ponies, one pink and one blue, connected by their mouths, a big red heart hovering over their heads. In the second, the blue pony appeared to be offering the pink pony a ring, while the pink pony smiled and fainted. In the third and final drawing, the two ponies stood together before an altar, covered in scribbles Applejack and only assumed were to be dresses. What?
That's not related to Applejack!
No, it is not.
What is going on? These look like
Yeah.
wedding plans, crudely drawn by a kindergartner.
You gotta be kidding me. Applejack flipped the paper back and forth, scanning every corner to make sure she hadn't missed anything. Finding nothing else, she glanced back at the pony behind her. You can never tell! Pinkie cried, grabbing onto Applejack's hind leg. Applejack tried to hobble around, but Pinkie Pie desperately held her to her leg, tripping her and very nearly bringing them both to the ground. All right, just let me go! Applejack shook her leg back and forth, but Pinkie didn't so much as budge. Pinkie, promise! Pinkie wailed, flailing up and down along with her leg. She can never know! Applejack gave up the effort to dislodge the hysterical pony with a resigned groan. I would if you just let go of me. Pinkie Pie! Oh, Pinkie Pie, Rainbow Dash said quietly, standing over her overturned beach chair, dripping cold juice, a paper of her own clamped between her teeth. Covering her paper were scribbled drawings nearly identical to Pinkie's own, telling another heartwarming tale of pink and blue stick ponies in love. What?
What does Applejack have to deal with this?
I have no idea.
It's
Oh,
just
for the love-
Is Applejack just a victim of circumstance?
For the love of... Pinkie gasped, tightening her grip on Applejack's leg. Rainbow Dash, I knew it! She jumped forward over Applejack and over the beach chair, hurtling into Rainbow. They rolled and spun and kissed over the sand, a whirling, slobbering mess of pink and blue.
What?
Granny Smith clapped her hoops together. It's like a fairy tale! Whether Pinkie Pie had simply forgotten that she had been holding on to Applejack's leg, or if she hadn't wanted Applejack to feel left out, or if it was another in a long series of bad jokes, Applejack didn't know. Either way, Pinkie Pie did not let go of her leg, and Applejack went tumbling down into the sand with them. Applejack fought, kicked, and pushed her way up out of the slabbering pile, grimacing at the intimate moans rising from her friends' mouths.
Okay? Can we just wake up? If this
She
is...
stood over them, rolled her eyes again, and walked away saying, I'm done. That's it. That's it! I'm done! That's her right now.
No
When she
crazy.
reached the edge of the clearing, walking to anywhere else on that accursed beach, she heard a sound like a record playing backwards, scratching behind her, and then, Applejack, you're finally here!
What?
Turning around, she saw that Pinkie Pie was back dancing behind the counter, Rainbow Dash was back lounging and dry on the beach chair, Granny Smith was back pattering on her drums, and Big Mac was gone altogether. Rainbow Dash groaned and peeked up at her. Jeez, AJ, what took you so long? Pinkie Pie huffed. We've been waiting for like 5 whole minutes! What?
A repeat?
Apparently so.
What's going on?
What? Was all Applejack could think to say. Again. Now we're way behind, Pinkie Pie said, looking down at the piece of paper. We're gonna have to go double time just to catch up. Pink Dash folded her legs over her chest. Way to go. Double time! Pinkie cried. Applejack opened her mouth to ask, closed it again, shook her head, and turned around, saying, Nope.
Going bye-bye.
Where are you going? Pinkie asked. I have no idea. You can't leave yet, though. Yes, I can. Yes, I can. Nuh-uh. You have to order a drink first.
No. Just...
Applejack stopped and looked over her shoulder. If I order a drink, can this please be done? Yepper doodles. Ugh. Pinkie, I'm serious. I'm not enjoying this, and I want it to be done. Definitely, Pinkie said, smiling and nodding more. Fine. Applejack trotted past Rainbow Dash and Granny Smith, not giving either of them so much as a glance on her way to the shack. Welcome to Pinkie Pie's Perky Pastel Beachside Bouncing Bullpen. Lisa Lemonade. What can I get for you?
Lemonade.
Pinkie, why didn't I tell you about playing your games at Sweet Apple Acres while I'm working? I don't know, but I do know that you haven't told me what you want to drink yet. I said, don't do it. That's what I said about playing games at Sweet Apple Acres while I'm working. Don't do it. Applejack drawled the words slowly, drawing out each syllable to eliminate any possibility of misunderstanding. Sure thing, but could you hurry up and order? You're holding up the line. This is a business, you know. Time means money, and money means balloons. Waste time and you're wasting balloons.
Applejack, you are clear to take Pinkie Pie's throat and squeeze it until she turns blue.
I thought you turned red.
Make her blue. We're talking about asphyxiation here. Choking!
Works for me. Applejack glanced over her shoulder to confirm that she was the only pony in line. Right, we wouldn't want that, she said, looking over the menu hanging over Pinkie's head. The only item listed was raspberry lemonade. Of course. Typical. I guess I'll have a raspberry... Before she could finish, Pinkie slammed a glass of the juice onto the counter. This one's on the house! Pinkie chirped, dropping a twisty straw into the glass. Cute. Applejack glanced between the bouncing pony in front of her, nearly shaking with poorly concealed excitement, and the clear glass sitting on the counter sweating in the heat. She shrugged and leaned forward, sipping from the straw, deciding things couldn't possibly get any worse. Yeah.
I bet it does.
She had to jinx it. It tasted tangy and sweet, but no plastic snakes jumped from the glass, or dancing snowmen jumped on the counter, and as far as she could tell, her coat didn't turn green.
What do you mean?
At the same time, 3 ponies around her exploded into laughter. Pinkie Pie, her chest seizing violently, fell back behind the counter. Rainbow Dash rolled over the side of the chair, her legs taking empty air. Even Granny Smith laughed until she had to lie down. What? What's so funny? Applejack cried. Your drink! You! Rainbow Dash managed between laughs. You ordered raspberry lemonade!
What about?
Yeah, so? Applejack asked, stomping towards the Pegasus, confusion panic rising in her stomach. What'd you do to my drink? You ordered raspberry lemonade! Rainbow collapsed and lost herself to another fit of giggles, only coming to when Applejack grabbed her by the scruff of her neck and pulled her back up. You ordered raspberry lemonade, but we gave you strawberry lemonade!
That didn't even make a lick of sense.
Applejack deadpanned. You did all this just to switch my drink around. Yeah, it was the perfect plan! What?
What perfect plan? And what for? What's the purpose?
I didn't think it would work, Granny Smith said. What was the point of the rabbit, the buffalo, the beach? Applejack cried. Rainbow Dash said, grinning like she just said something smart. Play the hoof. Duh.
Wait, what?
Applejack simply stared back. I don't think you even know what you're saying right now. You mean sleight of hoof? No, I mean plate of hoof. Twilight told me about it. Blah.
What?
Do you even know what sleight of hoof means? Rainbow Dash rolled her eyes. Duh! It means like doing something some pony can see so that they don't see what you're actually doing, like a magic trick or something. What does that have to do with any of this? You're kind of slow sometimes, huh? Rainbow Dash said, tilting her head to the side. We showed you the beach and stuff so you couldn't see us mixing up the drink. If we just done the drink shack by itself, you totally would have known something was up.
This didn't even make a lick of sense. Still.
You're right. I never suspected a thing. Because turning my farm into a beach wasn't suspicious at all. Rainbow Dash grinned. See? It worked! And the buffalo and the bunny suit and the dancing were all part of that too? I think that was all Pinkie Pie. So, yeah, I guess so. Applejack sighed. And you and Pinkie kissing all over each other? Rainbow Dash looked down and blushed. Well, yeah, sure. I mean, we didn't... yeah, definitely. Oh, ho, 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 ho.
My, they got a little too into it, didn't they?
Apparently so. Whatever else Rainbow Dash said was lost in sounds of hysterical laughter. They both turned to see Pinkie Pie rolling over the sand, laughing louder than ever.
If they wanted to swap drinks, instead of turning the farm into a beach, it should have been at Sweet Apple. It shouldn't be not Sweet Apple Acres, Sugar Cube Corner.
Oh, what can you do?
Joker.
Rainbow Dash stared at her, one brow raised. Jeez, Pinkie, you okay? It was funny, but not funny enough to hurt yourself over. Applejack felt like pointing out that it wasn't funny at all. I was certainly fairly certain it wasn't even worth bothering with anymore.
No, you don't get it! I totally got you, Dashy!
What?
What now?
Pinkie laughed again.
I told you that I switched Applejack's raspberry lemonade with strawberry lemonade, but I really did give her raspberry lemonade. You had no idea.
What?
Pinkie, you're not making any more sense. Stop it. Just
Pinkie?
stop it.
Oh, wait a minute. Pinkie explained before promptly falling onto the purback in laughter, knocking over and cracking a glowing totem that had been hidden behind the shack in the process.
What?
If Applejack had walked over and inspected the totem closely, she would have recognized it as one of the dozens of old, dusty, magical artifacts that Twilight kept stored in the library's basement. One of the dozens of dusty, magical artifacts that Twilight had very explicitly told them all, and especially Rainbow Dash and Pinkie Pie, never to touch. Well, at least that explains everything.
What about these totems?
Applejack didn't inspect it closely, because she just faced Hoof so hard she had almost fallen over. She heard Rainbow yell something at Pinkie Pie, but couldn't concentrate on everything over her stinging face and ringing ears. She turned and walked away from the ludicrous scene, transpiring behind her. As she trotted, listening to Rainbow Dash's indignant cries and Pinkie Pie's giggles, the illusion around her faded, its source broken. The blue sky dripped away, obscuring the world and pulling it into the edges of her vision like wet paint falling from a canvas. Beneath her hooves, sand flew into the air and out of sight. The water fell beneath the ground, giving way to familiar apple trees and grassy hills. All of the beach receding and flowing back into the totem behind the shack, from whence it had come. Applejack didn't even so much as blink. Rainbow Dash called from somewhere behind her,
Hey, where are you going?
I'm going to sleep.
Didn't you say you had work to do or something?
Yeah, now you and Pinkie Pie are going to do it.
What? No, I'm not.
Dash cried.
Yes, you are. Call it payment for all my time you wasted today. You don't, you can both just forget about getting any more of my apple pies or fritters. Oh, what? That's not fair.
It is too fair. If it wasn't for you two, I would have been finished by now. Anyway, makes sense to me that you two should be the ones to do it.
Yep,
Pinkie Pie agreed.
Shh.
Applejack chuckled and shrugged. Some pony's got to do it. It's not going to be me. I'm on break. She walked to the house ready for some lunch. I'll check back in an hour, and I expect to find you two working. Ah, jeez, Rainbow Dash muttered, looking at the ground. She looked at Pinkie. Way to go.
Totally worth it.
The end.
That wasn't totally worth it.
Well, at least we have an explanation for how it all fucking worked, I think.
A bit.
Yeah. Well, that was the end of that. That was in Quintuple time.
Can I go now? I feel like I just want to go bash my head against something hard.
Oh, come on. Let's not be that hard.